Hare Krishna. Welcome you all for today's class. We'll start with the prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I have shared my screen. So we are going through Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2. This chapter is titled as Contents of the Gita Summarized. The entire Bhagavad Gita, what is there, it is available in a summary format, in a synopsis format in this chapter, chapter number 2. And so far we have covered shloka number 22. So we are seeing how Krishna is describing the qualities of the soul. It will continue for a few more shlokas. Then Krishna will start talking about Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So we will continue from shloka number 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutaha. So here again Krishna is describing the qualities of the soul, that it cannot be cut by any weapon, it cannot be burnt by fire, it cannot be moistened by any liquid, and it cannot be dried by any kind of wind. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can he be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. So here we can see, generally we have experience of things, they get cut, they are burned, or they get wet, or things get dried. So we see everything around us, where any object, it undergoes these kind of changes. Anything we see around us, including our body, if there is a sharp weapon or something, our body can be cut into pieces, and our body can be burnt also. If there is a fire, then the body is burnt. Similarly, we get dehydrated if you don't drink water and there is so much of heat. So then all the water in the body gets dried up. Or we see sometimes leaves falling from the tree. So they dried up, they wither. And similarly, we see different things by water, they get wet. Not only this, formerly, there were weapons made from these different elements. So these are different elements, fire, then water, then air, and different weapons used for piercing the body. They're ultimately made from metals, and which is part of the earth element. So because it is also the war which is going on, and formerly we get information from the Puranas, where different kinds of weapons being used, weapons of fire, weapons of air, weapons of water. And here Krishna is telling that any of these kind of weapons, which are made of these elements, can destroy the soul. We'll see in the purport. All kinds of weapons, swords, flames, rains, tornadoes, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. So none of these weapons, however powerful the weapon may be, that weapon cannot destroy the soul. Just like recently, we saw this war between India and Pakistan few months ago after that terrorist attack on Pahalgam. In the news and social media, we saw some videos. Some drones are flying in the sky, and something is coming from the opposite side also, and they both are colliding, and then there is some kind of firecrackers. How it happens that way? The weapons were getting destroyed. We used to see earlier in Ramayana or something. They used to shoot some arrows. So one person will shoot arrow from here, one person will shoot arrow from here. Then they will collide and they will explode or they'll get destroyed. So that time, all these things were not there. Few decades ago, these kind of missiles and drones and counteracting them with all this defense system. Some things are mentioned in the scriptures, like how they used to fight with the arrows, and those who were making those serials and all, they would have taken some idea and they would have imagined and they would have created those serials depicting what is given in the scriptures. And now we see in the modern times exactly same thing happening in the modern warfares. And in the Vedic literature, you may find different Puranas, where the many scriptures, many Puranas describes of great battles and wars between devatas, demigods, or different personalities. And the description, if you see, even in Krishna book, if you read also, there are description of fight between Banasura and Krishna, like that. And there will be descriptions like that. Different kinds of weapons are being thrown and all. And sometimes people may think that all these are, kind of a stories. But we see in the modern days, a similar description, what is there in the scriptures. They have manufactured a similar kind of weapons in the form of missiles and drones like that. So formerly, these weapons were controlled by mantras, and it was not like anybody can produce these weapons and use it for destruction. So for that, the individual person had to undergo a lot of tapasya, austerity, and then gain these powers to use these weapons. So it was not available for mass destruction. So the person, it has to be acquired by personal strength, personal austerity, personal tapasya. Then only one could gain access to such powerful weapons. And also, they would use it only against, of course, demons. They always misuse their powers. But those who are following the Vedic rules and regulations, so they would not misuse these weapons. And also these weapons could even be targeted to a specific person, just like we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, where one Brahmastra was thrown by Ashwatthama, specifically targeting to kill the child in the womb of Uttara. Parikshit Maharaj was supposed to be born. So he had directed that weapon only to kill that. But modern day, we see these weapons and all, they are kind of a mass destruction weapons. They don't see whom to kill, whom not to kill. They're just used. So that means the technology was more superior formerly, based on the descriptions what we see, compared to the modern scientific discoveries. And those were controlled by subtle energy. All these weapons are controlled by the gross energy. But those weapons, they were controlled by the subtle energy. And ultimately, it gets transformed into the gross form, different weapons of fire, air, and water, like that. So here we see modern day, most of the weapons in the modern day, they are all made of fire. All these different bombs, all this, mostly they use fire as the element for killing the enemies or destroying. But formerly, there were weapons not only made of fire, but also of water, air, ether, and earthly elements. So none of these weapons can kill the soul. That is a point being made here. Even the nuclear weapons, which are considered as the most powerful at the present moment, which can destroy one whole city, or even larger areas. Even such a weapons also cannot destroy the soul. So formerly there were different kinds of weapons. Firearms were counteracted by, another thing is, one kind of weapons were counteracted by the opposite element, just like the fire would be counteracted by the water weapons. But this science is not known in the modern times. But maybe in the future they may discover these things also. In a mechanical way, they may discover. But formerly it was more of using the mantras and subtle energy. And based on the individual tapasya, one could acquire these powers. But nowadays, anybody who can know the science of that grossly producing, even the terrorist can produce these things. Nowadays, the war is going on between America and Iran. And the concern of America is that if Iran gets access to nuclear weapons, they may use it against their country. So for that, they are fighting against Iran. So the modern day weapons can be used even by uh, unauthorized people or anybody who knows how to produce them. And if it is in the wrong hand, they can be misused and cause a lot of destructions also. But whatever may be the kind of weapon, and whoever uses it either in a rightful way or in a irreligious way, none of these weapons can destroy the soul, because the soul can never be cut into pieces. It can never be burnt. It can never be moistened. It can never be dried. One more thing we have to understand from this, because there are another set of philosophers called Mayavadis or impersonalists, who believe that ultimately it is one Brahman, uh, and that Brahman is now divided into small, tiny living entities or tiny souls. So that is their belief. Because according to them, there is no individuality. There are no individual persons. You, me, all these people, no, all individuals. It does not exist. They call it as Maya. And they say the perfection is when the individual soul, which is now under Maya, comes out of that illusion and goes and merges into that Brahman. That is considered as the highest perfection. So their theory says that originally it was one Brahman, and now that one Brahman has become so many tiny Brahmans. But according to Bhagavad Gita, the soul can never be cut into pieces. So Mayavadi say it was initially one, now it has become so many parts. But Bhagavad Gita says that the soul can never be cut into pieces. So this fails the theory of the Mayavada philosophy, that the living entities were cut into small pieces and they cannot explain why it happened, how it happened, what is the reason for this, that one Brahman becoming individual Brahmans and suffering. So they don't have answer for all these things. They just do some word jugglery and try to, they themselves are bewildered and they also try to fool others. So Mayavadis, they cannot describe how the individual soul evolved from ignorance and consequently became covered by illusory energy. Because they are atomic individual souls eternally, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the spark of the fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. So the real philosophy is that the soul is eternal, as we are seeing here in different shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. The beginning instruction itself, Krishna started that you, me, and all these kings who have assembled here, we existed in the past, we are existing now, and we are going to exist in the future also. So Krishna has established the individuality of the soul, of himself, of Arjuna, of all other people gathered there in the past, then present, and also in the future. Even if one gets liberated or he remains a conditioned soul, in both the cases, the individuality is going to remain. So the living entities, they are tiny, like the spark in a fire. the parts and parcels of Krishna, the amshas of Krishna. And because they are tiny, they have got this tendency of getting covered by illusion. And at that time, they come into this material world. But that is not the case with the Supreme Lord, because this illusory energy, Maya, is under his control. So the Maya energy cannot cover Krishna. Prabhupada gives the example. Just like we see sun in the sky, and sometimes there is a cloud, and we are there on the earth, sun is there in the sky, and in between there is a cloud. Sometimes the cloud comes between us and the sun. So that time it appears like the sun is covered by the cloud. But the reality is sun is so big, so vast, and the cloud cannot cover the sun. Actually, we get covered by the cloud and we cannot see the sun. It is not that the sun is covered, but for us it looks like in the sky there is a sun, small disk, and because one cloud came, big clouds, one bunch of clouds came, and that's why now the sun is covered. It has become dark. But the reality is, other part of the earth, there is sun is visible. People are seeing light. Only because I have come under this cloud, I am experiencing darkness. So it is, I am covered by the cloud, not that the sun is covered by the cloud. Sun is very big, sun is very vast. The cloud cannot cover the sun. Similarly, the tiny living entity, they come under illusion. Krishna cannot come under illusion. Krishna is the master of illusion. Just like the cloud is formed by the sun itself. Because sun evaporates the water from the ocean, and then that evaporated uh, gas that goes and gets formed into a cloud. So sun is the cause of the cloud, and cloud cannot cover the sun. So this illusory energy is under the control of Krishna, and it has no control over Krishna. But we, being the tiny living entities, when we desire independent enjoyment, independent of Krishna, when we want to become independent, Krishna mercifully gives us the opportunity. So you want to be independent, so you go and earn your own happiness. All the facilities given in this material world, all the resources are there. So you do good work and enjoy good results. So Krishna gives us the opportunity when we want to be independently happy, independent of Krishna. But because of the lusty desires and greed and anger and illusion and pride and envy, because of these things, although Krishna has given a equal playing field for all the living entities, one living entity tries to lord over other living entity unlawfully. And such activities are called as sinful activity. Just like the other living entity has the right to live. So I want to kill that living entity and eat. Or something is given by the Lord to one living entity. I want to steal it and I want to possess those things. So in this way, because of this lust, greed, anger, envy, uh, pride, and illusion, the living entity commits lot of sinful activities. And because of their sinful activities, justice has to be served when somebody is exploited. So Krishna, as Kala, and the karma is recorded, what all a person has done. And in the form of Kala, the reaction to those works are in the form of rewards or punishment is given to the living entity. So somebody who has acted piously, he gets elevated to a higher platform. And someone who has exploited others, performed sinful activities, he gets degraded. The soul remains the same, but the body, either they get a superior body or inferior body. So these living entities are tiny parts and parcels of Krishna, as given in different scriptures. So here there is a mention of Varaha Purana. They are described as the separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. and they are eternally separate. Even Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, in the following chapters, I think 10th chapter or 15th, I think maybe. So, Mamai Vamsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All living entities, they are my eternal fragmental parts. And even after being liberated also, the living entity remains as a individual soul. It doesn't become one with Krishna. Although there is one kind of moksha, liberation called Sayujya. In Sayujya liberation, the living entity merges with the Brahman or within the body of Krishna. But it cannot remain there forever. That is not its eternal position. It's again a temporary position. Just like in the material world, we have got so many temporary bodies and we give up those bodies and accept new bodies. So even when the living entity, it attains this Sayujya liberation, there are 5 kinds of liberation. Out of that, one kind is Sayujya, becoming one with Brahman or Vishnu or Krishna. It cannot remain in that position forever because there are no activities, there are no interactions, there are no exchange of dealings. So the living entity again falls down into the material world. So the living entity is eternally having an individual identity, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state. It always remains as a individual person. Here, Arjuna is an individual person, Krishna is an individual person, and Arjuna is the Amsha of Krishna, the tiny living entity, and Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And Arjuna got liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna. But he never became one with Krishna. He remained as Arjuna, Krishna remained as Krishna. So even after liberation, the soul remains as an individual soul and continues to engage in Krishna's service. Next shloka, it is almost similar to this shloka where it is said about different weapons cannot cut the soul or burn the soul. A similar one, Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo ashoshya evacha nityah sarvagatah sthanur achaloyam sanatanaha. So this is Achedya. It cannot be cut. Adahya, it cannot be burnt. Akledya, it cannot be moistened. And Ashoshya, cannot be dried. And it is Nitya, it is eternal, it is Sarvagataha. The souls are present everywhere. Sthanu, which is unchangeable. Achaloyam Sanatanaha, it is immovable and it is eternally the same. So in different ways, Krishna is telling that soul is eternal and it is unchanging. Translation, this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Purport. All these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole, and he remains the same atom eternally without change. Again, this theory of monism or impersonalism or Mayavada philosophy, all these shlokas, they prove that the theory of Mayavada is defective, or theory of monism, it is defective. Bhagavad Gita does not support the living entity merging into Brahman and becoming one with that. So it's very difficult for them to apply this theory of monism based on all the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So the soul never becomes homogeneous. So homogeneous means one glass of water, another glass of water you mix, then you don't know which was your original glass of water. Though the glass of water gets mixed, you cannot make out. So that is homogeneous. But if you take one glass of water and one glass of oil, if you mix them, they always remain separate. Water and oil, they never gets mixed. So they are non-homogeneous. So soul is also like that. One soul and another soul can never get merged and become a new soul. The two souls always remain as individual souls. So after liberation from material contamination, the atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the effulgent rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as we discussed, one kind of liberation, which is called Sayujya, where the living entity can remain as a spark in the bodily effulgence of Krishna, which is called Brahma Jyoti. But the intelligent souls enter into the spiritual planets to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those who are intelligent, they enter into the spiritual planets. Just like we have this earthly planet and different planets, then there is a sky. In the sky, there are sun rays. Similarly, in the spiritual sky also, there is a Brahma Jyoti, which is the bodily effulgence of Krishna. And in that Brahma Jyoti, there are many living entities. And those who are not came in touch with a pure devotee and did not understand Bhakti Yoga, did not understand Krishna's personal features. Just by their own endeavor, if they try to understand the Vedic literature, specifically the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras, without proper guidance from the Parampara, if they try to understand on their own, just on the basis of Sanskrit knowledge, that I will read, I will study grammar, then I will read this Upanishad and I'll try to understand what is given here. Then they may come to a false conclusion that merging into that Brahman is the ultimate thing. That is the highest thing. So such living entities are called here as unintelligent. And those who come in touch with the right parampara and a pure devotee, they can understand the real position of the living entity as a servant of Krishna. And they are intelligent souls. And they want to enter into the spiritual planet and associate with the personality of Godhead and have exchange of rasas with Krishna. Also, here it is mentioned that the soul is sarvagataha, means it is present everywhere, all pervading. Everywhere there are living entities. Prabhupada gives example, just like there are living entities on the earth. There are so many human beings are there, so many animals are there, so many plants are there. So there are living entities on earth. Then there are living entities inside the water. If you go into a river or a pond or a well or go to the ocean, there also you will find a big world. If you go to the ocean, under the ocean, there is another world. So many types of living entities, plants, they all are living there. So in the water, you will find living entities. In the air, you will find living entities. So many birds are there. So in the air also, there are living entities. So there are 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So there are living entities on earth. They have a suitable body. There are living entities in the water. Now, we cannot go and live inside the water. So for that, we cannot conclude that because I cannot go and live in the water, nobody can live in the water. There are no living entities in the water. Why? Because I cannot go and live. So that is not the logic. In reality, we see, although I cannot go and live in the water, there are so many living entities inside the water. They have got a suitable body to live in the water. Why do we say that I cannot live in the water? Because our body requires constant oxygen. Even they require oxygen. But the way we take oxygen is different than the way they take oxygen. So their bodies are designed in such a way that it can live comfortably in the water. Our bodies are designed to live comfortably on land. So if you bring that here, it will die. If you take this body there, this body will die. So we cannot conclude that because I cannot live inside the water, therefore nobody can live in the water. There may be suitable bodies. We see there are suitable bodies with which they are able to live in the water. Similarly, if you dig the earth also, you will find some worms are there, some insects are there, some ants are there. So they are living comfortably inside the earth. I cannot live inside the earth. But there are living entities which are living in the earth. So there are living entities in the earth, in water, on the land, and in the air. Similarly, scriptures tell there are living entity in the fire also. Sun planet, it is a fiery planet. There also living entities are there. So we cannot say that because I cannot live in the fire, nobody can live in the fire. So there may be suitable bodies with which they are able to live in the fire. Just like in the water, I cannot live, but there are living entities with suitable bodies to live inside the water. And Brahma Samhita also describes that Vibhuti Bhinnam, each planet is different. Brahma Samhita describes there are unlimited planets, and each planet has got different composition, different atmosphere. So Earth has got one kind of composition, one kind of atmosphere, and there are living entities on Earth. Similarly, each planet has got its own kind of atmosphere, its own kinds of nature, and the living entity with suitable bodies live on all planets. And sometimes they may not be visible to our gross eyes also, because our eyes are limited. We cannot see everything. We can see only in a certain range. The light has got certain wavelength. We can see only those. Apart from that, there are so many other signals, electromagnetic signals are there, different types of signals, which scientists have discovered. They can measure them with different tools, but our eyes cannot see. So, generally, no, the conditioned souls, they are very puffed up by little advancement of knowledge, and they have a very high estimate of themselves. They don't see that so much defective our body is, so much limitation our body has got. They think that I can know everything, I can understand everything, but we have so many limitations. Our senses, everything we perceive by our senses, but the senses are limited and they are defective. Just like eyes cannot see beyond a certain distance. It cannot see if something is very close also, it cannot see. Our eyelids, the closest thing, but eyes cannot see. If there is a wall, I cannot see what is there on the other side of the wall. Similarly, ear also, what we hear is only one spectrum. The spectrum is very big. There are some animals which can hear the sound which we can't hear. So all our senses are designed for a particular purpose to live on this earth. So it is not that I can see the entire existence. I can hear what is there in the entire existence. Similarly, our mind and intelligence also, not that I can comprehend everything that is there in the existence. So this has to be understood. This realization comes only when we meet a pure devotee, and by his teachings, we are able to understand the defects of the material body, the conditioned body, and the vastness of this world. And we have not seen the entire universe also. We are just limited to one planet, which is just like one tiny speck in the entire existence. We don't know which part, what kind of living entities are existing. So here it is said that the living entities are sarvagataha. That means they are present everywhere. Just like on this earth itself, we see living entities on land, in water, inside the earth, in the air. In the same way, the living entities are also present in fire with suitable bodies. And here it is said that the soul can never be burnt by fire. So if they have got a suitable body, they can live in the very hot environment also with suitable bodies. Therefore, there is no doubt that there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe is uninhabited, then the word sarvagata, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. So the living entities are present everywhere. Next shloka. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu shochitum arhasi. So here Krishna is using the word achintya. Achintya means it is beyond our conception to understand the soul, because we understand things by our mind and intelligence. We see and experience by our senses, then we understand things with our mind and intelligence. And the soul is inconceivable. We cannot completely comprehend. Just like God is inconceivable, he has got unlimited energies, unlimited potencies, unlimited knowledge, strength, beauty. It is beyond our capacity to fully conceive Krishna or fully conceive the soul. Just like I can lift, say, 5 kg, I can lift, say, 10 kg. If I bring some 100 kg weight and ask to lift, it is say it is beyond my capacity to lift this 100 kg weight. I can lift only 5 kg, or I can lift only 10 kg, or another person may say I can lift only 20 kg. And if you pick 100 kg and keep here, everybody will say, no, this is beyond our capacity. Similarly, this material body, what we have got, it has got some level of intelligence, some level of mental ability, some level of sensual abilities with our eyes and other senses. With these, we can understand only how much these senses can show us, how much our mind can make us understand. But that does not mean that our mind is capable of understanding the entire existence or whatever exists in this creation. In the same way, for the mind, it is inconceivable to fully understand the soul. So it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So, whole point of Krishna telling uh, these things to Arjuna is to make him realize that in the war, you are going to kill your friends, relatives, your teacher, your grandfather. But in reality, uh, the persons, they are not getting killed. It is only the body which is going to be killed. And the person who is the soul inside those bodies is never killed. And they are going to have a different body according to how they have lived in this body, according to their karma. They are going to get a new body. So knowing this, that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, unchangeable, and indestructible, unborn, deathless, you should not grieve for the body. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. So, the size of the soul is 1/10 of the 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. So, with microscope, we cannot measure that soul. And nowadays, we may say that there are no more advancement, and there are microscopes which can see things which are even smaller than this 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair, because nowadays, what is it called, nanotechnology, and in that very tiny chip will be there. In that they will have so much of uh, transistors and other things. So how do we understand this? Here it is said that Microsoft powerful microscope cannot see. Now, how these microscope work? Now you see it ultimately from your eyes. And to see something, you have to throw light on that, and that object has to reflect the light. And then your eye can detect the light. And then you know that, oh, there is something here. And if something is very tiny, then you can use a magnifying, technologies using glass or something. And you magnify it, and then it comes, to the size of with which your eye can see. But ultimately, the principle is it has to reflect light. Only then you can see. If it doesn't reflect light, then you cannot see anything, because we see only what is shown to us by the light. Now, this earth, water, fire, air, ether. Okay, light comes from fire. So fire gives both heat and light. So these are the elements which Krishna describes in the 7th chapter. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are my gross energies. Then beyond that, there is mind, intelligence, and ego. Then after that, Krishna says, Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidhi me param. So beyond these 8 elements, I have got another energy of mine, and that is the living entities. And this living entity is categorized by Krishna as another category of energy, apara energy. Apara means superior or spiritual energy. So this is a totally different element. It is not made of matter. So material elements cannot interact with this spirit. So any amount of uh, advanced eyes, we have got one kind of eyes, another living entity may have more better capacity eyes, the devatas or other living entities. Some living entities, they have got lesser capacity of eyes than us. So any amount of advancement in our seeing capacity through this material eyes, and any amount of advancement in using different tools for seeing things, just like microscopes, they cannot see this soul because it's a totally different energy. It is made of spiritual energy, and all these things are made of material energy. This is one very important characteristic which we should understand, because that is also the basis of deity worship. The deity worship, which is authorized in the scriptures, where the form of the Lord is carved using material element. Same this earth, water, fire, and ether, made of combination of these different things. Just like wood is there, stone is there, paint is there, or jewelry or sand. There are 7 different elements which are authorized, with which you can carve or draw a form of the Lord as given in the scriptures. And if you invite the Lord as per the given rules and regulations in the scriptures, then Krishna personally comes and resides there to receive our service. Now, why this is given, the deity worship is given, because our eyes cannot see spirit. Our eye can see only matter. Only we can see stone, wood. These things only we can see. And if I want to see Krishna in my present form, it is not possible. So mercifully, Krishna appears in these material elements. And because he is the Supreme Lord and everything is his energy, and he can manifest himself in his energy. So Krishna personally manifests himself in the form of the deity out of his compassion, because in the present state, the living entities, they are covered with the material body. They have got a material eye. With that eye, even if Krishna comes in front of us, we cannot see unless he himself makes some arrangement to show himself to us. On our own capacity, we cannot see God. So Krishna has to enable us so that we can see him in his spiritual form. And Krishna doesn't come so frequently to this material world. He comes once in a while, once in a yuga, or special locations. Krishna appears as incarnation. So that time people can see his body by his mercy. But other times, how the living entities can have experience of seeing Krishna and associating with him, serving him. So for that, Krishna gives the opportunity in the form of this Archa Vigraha. It is called Archa Vigraha, deity form of the Lord. So the same principle applies here also. Any kind of Microsoft also cannot see the spirit, because it is a different energy, and our body is made of material energy. Eyes are also material. A lot of conditions are there for us to see anything. Therefore, the soul is called as invisible, avyakta. One cannot see the soul. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish this existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. So experimentally, because it is a different energy, one cannot experimentally establish the existence of the soul. It has to be received in the form of Vedic knowledge itself. By logic, you can understand, just like you see a dead body and living body. It's the same, no change. If you see grossly, the same body is there, same eyes, same hands, same legs, but the dead body is not talking, not seeing, not doing any activity. So what is the missing thing in a dead body and a living body? So that is the soul. Because the soul has left the body, consciousness also went along with the soul. And this machine which was working, because of the presence of the soul, that machine stops working. This body is just like a machine. Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Yantra Arudhani Maya. So the existence of the soul has to be received from the Shruti or the Vedic knowledge, but there are processes defined by which one can realize the soul within this body. By Bhakti Yoga, by Ashtanga Yoga, by Jnana Yoga, one can. Jnana Yoga is almost on the platform of knowledge. By intelligence, one can realize that in this body there is a superior energy, because of that which is functioning. By Ashtanga Yoga, by practice of different postures, physical exercises and breathing, in the advanced stage, one can realize the soul and the super soul within the body. Even by Bhakti Yoga also, one can realize the soul and the super soul, but not by ordinary experiments. One can uh, see the soul or prove the existence of the soul. It requires a person's individual tapasya, individual sadhana, and also mercy of Krishna, mercy of Guru and Krishna, by which one can realize the existence of soul and the super soul. By it is not like anybody can make an experiment and show that here is a soul. It is revealed. It's a revealed knowledge by the mercy of Krishna, when we are sincerely and seriously following the process. So we have to accept this truth based on the authority of the Vedas, existence of the soul. And when we follow the process of devotional service, one can realize also the existence of the soul, existence of Paramatma, existence of God. All these things are possible. Gradually, one can progress and realize these things. But in the beginning, one has to accept it on the authority of the Vedas. Prabhupada also gives the example of, just like if I want to know my father, the only way I can know who is my father is my mother has to tell, this person is your father. And I have to believe my mother that he is my father. Other than mother's authority, if I go on seeing all the male, whether he is my father, he is my father, he is my father, it is impractical to identify who is my father. Suppose I am there and only my mother is there. I don't know who is my father. And if I start, as I grow, I come to know that I must have a father. Then only I have existence. My mother is there, but father is also must be there. Then if you go on searching for your father, who is my father? Who is my father? There are 700 crore human beings. Out of that 50%, if you take male also, then it is like almost 350 to 400 crore male you will find. Now out of that, who is my father? How will I determine by experiment? I will die before I could do the experiment of all these people. So the best way for me to understand who is my father is my mother knows who is my father. And she is the only person who knows who is my father. I cannot ask my relatives, my friends and all. Only my mother knows who is my father. So if I have faith in my mother, that if I ask my mother and if my mother tells he is the father, if I have faith, then my research work is over. I immediately came to know he is my father. If we doubt our mother, then we are hopeless. Similarly, to know God, the only way to know God is through the Vedas. Without Vedic knowledge, we cannot understand who is God. And if we doubt the Vedas, then our situation is hopeless. We can never understand who is God, because there is no other way of understanding God other than the Vedic literature. So to understand about the soul, about the God, the only way is we have to follow the Vedic literature. But they give a process. If you follow, at the end, you will also realize what is said here. Everything you will realize practically. But in the beginning, you have to start with the faith. That is called Shraddha. So with Shraddha, one has to start this path of devotional service. And as he progresses, everything can be realized. So we have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based on the authority of his mother. There is no other source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no other source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That is also the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal or the tiny soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul. So this is also important point, because it is said here that the soul is unchangeable, and because the soul is tiny, one can never say that the soul, the tiny soul, is now changing to become the supreme soul. That is again impersonalism and Mayavada philosophy. So Bhagavad Gita clearly, if we see and understand it from the purpose of Prabhupada, that this impersonalism is a false theory, or it is not the complete truth. It's not the complete reality. It may be a partial reality where there is also a chance of the living entity merging into Brahman, but that is not the eternal position. Again, it will fall down from that position unless it goes and enters the spiritual planet. It can never get a permanent situation. So the soul can never become equal with the Supreme Lord. And this concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways, just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. And we see so many times these things are repeated in so many shlokas. Krishna is repeating the same thing again and again. So here Prabhupada is mentioning, repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. So many times it is being repeated so that this goes and registers clearly without any mistake into our consciousness. Okay, so it's already 8 o'clock. So we'll stop today's session here. If there are any questions, we can discuss. Anybody has got any question, they can unmute and ask. So we have covered, I think, 2 shlokas today. 3 shlokas. 3 shlokas we have covered today.
Excuse me, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Like, I'm a new joinee. Like, will there be classes every day or how is it?
Yeah, this is, we have every Tuesday Bhagavad Gita, but other classes are there almost 3 to 4 days in a week. And if you are part of the group, then you will keep getting those notifications about different classes. We have classes in Kannada, Hindi, and other regional languages also.
Okay, so
Are you
every
part of
Tuesdays?
our group?
Yes, yes.
Then you will keep getting even the old classes, because we are in the 2nd chapter.
Yeah.
The previous old classes also, you can go to our, we will be sharing this recorded video. Tomorrow, the recorded video will come. And if you go to our YouTube channel there, where it will be hosted, if you go to all videos, you will see previous classes also.
Okay. So every
And you can,
Tuesdays
yeah,
study.
every Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Okay,
Bhagavad
thank
Gita, we have got other books also that is covered on different days.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. You can practice chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra if you are new. That is a process given for this Kali Yuga for self-realization. If you are part of that group, you will get to know more about it. You can start chanting this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You can check it on the internet also about this mantra, and every day 108 times you can practice to chant this.
Okay, thank you, Guruji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, we'll end our session here today. Thank you all for joining. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.